I want to show you how to knit perfect stripes without having to weave in ends. There are two parts to this. It starts with my no-sew colour changes, and then we're going to move on to how to create jogless stripes. Let's go. So starting with no-sew colour changes. This is a really neat method for changing colours in the round. You can also do it mid-row and it creates these beautiful, neat stripes and you don't have ends to weave in. Let me show you the inside of this sock, where you simply leave your tails at about 2.5 centimetres, 1 centimetre each, and I promise you that they do not go anywhere. So let me show you. These are two pairs of my husband's socks. These are coming up for about 8 years old, and they have been worn on many a Scottish or rugged mountain, and those ends just simply felt in. It doesn't affect the stripe, they never come loose, but it's a really easy technique to use. Let me show you how. So you have your outgoing yarn at the ready, and you have got your new incoming yarn ready to bring into it. Now 5 stitches before the end of the round, or where you need the new colour, I'm basically going to start this off by placing my needle through the beginning of the stitch. And then I get my new yarn, my incoming yarn at the ready, and I want to place that over the top of the outgoing yarn, the one that I'm going to finish off the stitch with. And I want to make sure there's 2.5 centimetre 1 inch end that I'm leaving, and then finish off that stitch and repeat that. So put my needle through the stitch and bring my new incoming yarn over the top of the one that I'm still using. Finish off that stitch. So that's stitch 2 done. Get ready to do the same with stitch 3. Incoming yarn goes up and over the top, and that is trapping it down with every single stitch. Stitch 4, do exactly the same. Bring the incoming yarn up and over, trapping it down. It's easier if you tether it with your fingers. And then on this final stitch, it goes up and over. That keeps it to the back, so the sequence is quite important, and you finalize that final stitch. Then what was your incoming yarn is now your new yarn, that's your new colour, and you quickly just make the first stitch of the new round with that colour. And I like to move my 2 yarn colours around so that I always remember that my working colour is on the right hand side. And then you're just going to continue to trap down the outgoing colour, which was my red, with every single stitch over 5 stitches. So needle goes through, outgoing yarn goes up and over the working yarn, and it gets trapped down, and I just do that over 5 stitches. That is enough, you don't need more than that. What I do like to do, however, after I've done those 5 stitches, is just make a few stitches with the new yarn colour, so that I'm reminding myself that that isn't the one to cut. I have cut the wrong yarn a few times with this. So the red is the outgoing colour, that's the one I want to cut, and I'm leaving, again, 2.5 centimetres to 1 inch to make sure that that is long enough and that it will just stay put securely. But you can see that those yarns have been trapped down either side of the marker. If you feel the need to, you can pull both ends to tweak them a little bit just to make sure you've got lovely tight stitches. Not necessarily, but you can if you want to. And that's it. That's how you do a beautiful no-sew colour stripe change. And if you marry it up with the next technique, that is how you will get absolutely perfect stripes. Avoiding jogs in knitted stripes is really easy to do, and it just takes 1 step. So let me show you how to do that too. Once you've changed colour and you're working with your new colour in the round, what you want to do is complete 1 full round in that new colour, and it's at the very beginning of the next round that you make this 1 step to get a jogless stripe. So let's finish off this round and show you where you get to. So at the beginning of the next round, you slip your marker, and you'll see at the round below a stitch is always made up of a V, and it has a left leg and a right leg, and you want to pull the right leg of the stitch from the round below and up onto the left hand needle. It should be a different colour because you've changed colours on the round before. And then it's a case of simply knitting that together with the first stitch of your new colour, and that pulls up the jog and it evens out, and that is what is going to give you a really neat stripe. If you need a little more help on these techniques, I have step-by-step photo tutorials for both of them as blog posts, and I've linked to them in the drop down box below. Happy knitting!